The problem is everybody wants to be agents. I think some people do it for the wrong reasons. Some of the football owners or the club people, they don't even know half of the rules. I won't lie to you. I just start looking after a player. A stable team with a good sponsor, paying a PSL player 1,000 Rand a month. But for me, when a player makes a first team debut,
he's a first team player.
He's 19, 20-year-olds, 21. They don't have a car. Professional player. Sure.
Lance Davids, you're our first guest, you know that, on this Behind the Boot with Super Geno.
Thanks so much. I'm really honored to be your first guest. I hope it'll be the best one.
Well, it depends on your answers. You've just done a deal now. Tashreeq Morris to SuperSport. What's it like? I mean, the deadline obviously finished a few weeks ago, but explain this one coming in long after. I think he's been out of action for some time.
Yeah, of course he had. It was really strange, you know, after deadlines are gone, you always think football, you can take a rest, but in our game, we can never sleep. So, of course, he's been a free agent. Of course, we've been monitoring clubs and seeing where he could fill in injuries or maybe... And because he's a striker, so it's a really interesting position. So I just popped up, you know, we're always on our phones every day.
So you're calling Stan Matthews on a daily saying, I've got a strike, I can solve your problems.
That also, which I hope it can work for them. But not only to Stan, I think to many clubs and just follow what's going on. And, you know, he's in Joburg, so it was actually easy. And it just pops up and then you're there, you know. And I've been now here already like 3.5 to 4 weeks. So, and it can just happen anytime. So 24 hours and then boom, signed this morning. And here I am.
Incredible. It's outside the transfer window, which brings me to my next question, which is where we're going to go with this conversation. What is the biggest misconception about agents?
Well, I would always say, you know, the problem is everybody wants to be agent. That's the problem. I think in our football, just in general, everybody wants to be the front man, you know. I think the beauty part of myself is, or just me, luckily I've been an ex-professional player. So I've always been, you know, I won't say I'm a guy, I'm always a team player. So I never wanted to be in the limelight. But like I said, I had the jersey, cameras, interviews. I think you and Mazola, I think we were still young, and we're still young. But, you know, I won't say I'm tired of it, but I'm just enjoying and giving the clients their time, you know. So for me, it's about giving them the best and also for them and their family. But like you said, coming to your question, it's just that I think some people do it for the wrong reasons, you know. And an agent is not just doing deals, eh? It's not there to be only in the front line. You have to be for them for some clients, 24/7. So it's not doing deals. I always say for a football player, you need your agent is when you are going into that dip, you know, like Morris now, example.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Like Morris, Bongani Sam, you know. When they're at the low, that's when then you do the most, you know. And if you look at it now, I'm not saying every agent, but you know, you could say, Tashreeq don't have a team now. He didn't play for a year and a half at Sekhukhune. He's out of a contract. You know, these boys, they have families, they have kids, they have their wife they have to look after. Because everyone thinks if you're a free agent, it's good. No, you're unemployed. You're literally unemployed. There's no income coming in. So you have to still push that. And I always say it doesn't matter. We treat our clients no matter how big they are or how small they are. So for me, it's all the same, but we give our best to everyone, you know. So
you don't have a category. You don't say, oh, no, premium client, this one, we're going to give him tailor-made service. But of course, I mean, on the field, yes, players, some are better than others. Those are the facts, you know.
Those are the facts. But I think with our service, we try to give our service to everyone the best. Of course, the young ones, they don't need so much maintenance at the moment, you know. But we try to be the best. I always say my phone is available. I'm available 24/7. Our guys at the bottom, like I have my guy Courtney in Cape Town. He's available to do the service. We have Glenn, that's my partner here in Johannesburg. we doesn't matter. We're always online, no matter what. If someone can't get hold of one person, they get hold of the next. So we're always available. And like I said, it's just that when some agents treat players bad, it gets generalized, and then then everyone is a bad agent.
And is the idea to do it better than, when you were a player? Because you left when you were 16 years old to go to Europe, but times have changed in terms of how to be an agent, doing deals, looking after players. It's player management also. That's the other thing.
I think the most important thing, I think that we are now, and I think our company, we're very transparent. It doesn't matter, because in today's generation, we also manage parents.
Really?
Yes. So
explain that.
Of course, with the young ones, and like I said, there's a lot of influence, mentors, the entourage, and of course, and don't get me wrong, the parents are involved. Why? Because they want the best.
Of course,
they want the best for their kids, but they also expect.
But when it comes to the business side of it,
it's difficult because they're not 24/7 in the business. They don't understand, and every parent thinks their son is Messi or Ronaldo. So sometimes, and that's what we are. I think we do best is really the reality check. At times, we have to be honest. And I think most of our parents or our clients' parents, they respect that. Because we can't. Yes, your son is not going to go play for Real Madrid.
Do they have to sign over a proxy to say?
No. So we have our standard agreements, FIFA agreements.
Okay.
That, of course, when you're under the age of 18, the parents have to sign if you're under the age, and then if you're adult, and then you can sign on behalf of you. So it's very simple, but like I said, we just keep it very simple. And I think for the last 11 years, I've been enjoying it. There's a lot of emotions, because I said I have a fantastic signing on one day, and next minute there's a problem on the other end. So you must just enjoy the moments when you can.
There's this thing that's been going around now about an agent exam, or what's the fuss about? I know even a while back, SAFA, FIFA, there was a big hurrah in the UK and in Europe especially, the market that you'd know very well, about a 3% cap or 10% cap in agents' commission. Where are we with that conversation? And I saw recently there was a list distributed around of agents that SAFA are saying the PSL should deal with. Is that, how do you explain that? Does it mean now clubs are being told how to operate, agents are being told how to operate? It's no longer if you are licensed by the world governing body or your local federation. Maybe just explain that a little bit, because there seems to be some confusion about the role of intermediaries and agents of late.
So FIFA came out with they had this rule already before, I think if I'm not mistaken, 10 years ago, that you must do an exam, and you can pass them, and then you can start doing business with football clubs. They initialized it again now, which I'll be doing mine on the 20th of November. But in Europe, it's not yet enforced. There's courts that won these cases in Germany, France, Italy. So it's not enforced yet. So
there's been a pushback from agents abroad.
Yeah, they fought it because of FIFA telling the agents how much they can earn on a deal, which is against European law. I think it's just you in general, you just can't tell someone how much they should earn.
Yeah. So the commission shouldn't be kept at all.
So at the last two exams, there was no questions about what I've heard about the initial cap for salaries. That was not in the exams. So they're pushing back on that a lot. On the exams, I think that's going to be important. I think it's good that agents should go do the exam, because I'm told it's very difficult. It's really a high grade.
Yeah.
So, but if you ask me if it's enforced, you have to have a license to do deals now? No, it's not enforced yet. So anyone can still do a deal. And I think most clubs would like it, because also they want to build relationships with the good agents, of course. Yeah.
But it's difficult. I mean, as you said earlier, there are a lot of fly-by-night agents. Anybody can. But also, to be fair, if I know a player, I saw him playing in the dusty streets of Soweto, and we're a good friend. I've got a bit of knowledge of the game, and I know a few people in the different clubs. Can I not be their representative? Can I not be their intermediary and communicate on their behalf to get the deal done? I know the numbers, I know the maths, and I can draw up a contract if I've got the know-how, or I have a friend who's a lawyer who can help me draw up the contract. Why can't players choose who they want as their representatives?
I think that if you look at it, like you just said now, Mazola, but is that your 24/7 day business? Do you know? Yes, you're saying you know how to do contracts, you know the numbers, but it's different. You know, you're going up against people that you don't know. You don't know the behind the scenes things that's happening. So I always say the players must have the best they can in their interest. You know, I always say a lot of people have their agendas, why they want to do it. You know, is it the right pathway for the player? So, example, you say the player is good. I'm going to take him to Pirates. Is that the right? Is that the right decision for the player? Is it going to take him to be his best he can, or is he going to be there only for 1 year? You know, so there's always pathways when you're looking at the player, and that's how we work. We see a player. We don't want the player to go to a club for 1 year and then, we must move him again. We see, is that the best spot? Trying to get him the best opportunities, give him options, you know? So it's not always the first deal must be the best deal, you know? It's always, we take it in stages. It's like going to school, you know? I always make that example. So we try to get them best. And I always say, don't let that be also your first contract, but don't let it be your last contract, you know? Rather take now 250 instead of 5,000, you know? Because when you get the third step, you'll get 30,000. Yeah. So that's what we try to explain and instill also mostly also into parents, you know, because they always want to jump for the biggest one in the first one. So yeah, so it's our job is really interesting, to be honest, because we always, you know, someone always pops up from nowhere that we don't know. You never know it, but there's always a lot of surprises in our job. But like you said, now with that FIFA, you know, we as agents are going to study so hard, know the rules of FIFA. Some of the football owners or the club people, they don't even know half of the rules. So that is so crazy. When we're doing these things, we're studying, they should have our paperwork in the offices, because sometimes they don't even know half of the rules.
It's not that basic to get a deal done. Yeah.
No, it's not basic, but the rules, you know, because there's many times where they don't know the rules and we give them, but they say we are bad people. You know, so sometimes we also helping them to explain the rules when it comes to transfers, when it comes to TMSs, when it comes to these type of logistics or some things. You know, we always try to help them. You know, because I've spoken to many people while I was in South Africa, and they still think you can move to Europe when you're 16. Like, no, it's not possible.
Yeah.
It's the law. You can't move it. You know, the law has changed long time already. But I'm just saying, it's not a bad thing not to know, but we should start to educate people, you know, and I'm happy always to do that and to help them and to tell them the right thing, because like you said, one agent will say something just to get the player on the books, but it's the wrong thing, you know, and that's where we need to also educate many people when starting this or engaging with the youngsters and their parents.
Do you think our clubs have fallen behind a little bit in terms of keeping up with what's happening on the market? I mean, you have different views. You have a few perspectives in terms of being based in Belgium, based in Europe, and seeing what's happening in that space, and then obviously being a big part of the South African market as well. Is there a huge gap?
I would think there is a gap, not a huge gap, you know, but I think there is a gap. Reason because, like I said, with the FIFA, you know, everyone thinks they have the FIFA license, only they can work, but it's not enforced yet, you know. So people can still be the agents. Anyone can still be the agents. I would say anyone but the right, but you don't need the license as we speak. And it's important to have it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should not have it. And one would want people to go. Like I said, I'm doing mine in November. But in Europe, there's a pushback, and I think it will only happen, if I'm not mistaken, they say now 2 to 3 years before they get enforced, because of the salary cap, of these things. There's a lot of dynamics, European law, you know. And like I said, unfortunately, that's when it happens. Europe, that's when things are it's going to happen. When they enforce that, then everywhere, unfortunately,
then everybody else follows.
Then everyone follows, unfortunately. I always say, I make that example with the NBA, you know, where it's basketball, everyone wants to go to America. That's where things happen. And in football, that's the hub when the laws follows. And I think when they're getting forced there, everyone would follow suit.
And in terms of transfer fees, I think maybe you and I might have had this conversation one way or the other in the past. Very transparent in the European market. We know the figures. At some stages, in some instances, we know the salaries of the players as well. You've played the game in South Africa. You know the market very well, as I said earlier. Do you think we should be going in that direction? What I'm getting at here is transparency. Because a lot of people, I mean, from the stories that we write, we report, we are on the ground, people are always asking us, how much did he move for? How much is he earning? I'm like, I don't know if you are comfortable with me telling people your salary. But I think at the very least, transfer fees should be something that's on the public domain. It shouldn't be, because clubs are putting that stuff in their financial statements anyway. So yes, the public might not have access to those financial statements, which on the other hand, I think we should be able to access, especially if they're registered companies and all of that. But what's your opinion on that?
I love transparency. I think it's important. Of course, I think it's just in Europe, many times they say disclose fee. There's many times salaries are not. I'll be really honest with you. In Europe, they don't put that out there. In America, they do. That needs to go every year after every financial
MLS,
year.
Yeah, the
MLS that goes online. That's the law in America.
And it's easy to find. I mean, there's several players in the South African market, Njabulo Blom, before he came back to Chief, Klongwane.
But in Europe, I think there's a lot of, saying, okay, it can be estimated, etc. They're not far of it, 100%. So they take the guess, I think the strong journalists, I think the ones that they close more to the agents, I think they will reveal a little bit, but not.
Yeah, it's not often that you see figures.
And I'm sure, Mazola, you have your best agents here also in the country, so you will know a little bit the ins and outs. But I'm thinking, I don't think, and I also don't think it's because transparent in that way is okay. But in South Africa, the transfer fees it's a big difference if you compare Sundowns what they paying for players and then you compare Stellenbosch what they paying for players. In transfers,
is the gap that huge? I mean, I'm asking this.
The gap is big. Yeah. If you compare to Europe and South Africa, it's massive.
Pardon my ignorance, Lance, because a lot of the stuff that we hear is mere speculation because we don't see the stuff on a piece of paper. So it's speculation from what we are being told, right?
No,
but is the gap that big in terms of a newly promoted team or a mid-table team or a team improving like a Stellies, the example that you're making, and a Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, your typical traditional big three clubs?
So if you look at us, if you ask yourself, you've been in the business for long now. Stellies has made unbelievable business in the last window. If they would not make done that business, do you think they would buy those type of players from Cape Town Spurs? I doubt it. Yeah. I think that's just the reality. They've done fantastic business because if you look at it, Stellies doing business, so much business in the market, especially with Cape Town Spurs, whose values are sometimes unbelievable or crazy, should I say?
Yeah.
And they're the ones even to go buy more players from Cape Town Spurs because they've done good business. Thanks to Sundowns, thanks to Pirates, thanks to Chiefs also, So I always say these teams, and I always say the small teams, which is normal. In Europe, I think is a little bit better, but the small teams they wait until the big ones come in and then they start their business. If you look at it, they start off. If you look at this last window now, everyone was waiting for Sundowns to make the move. Sundowns were waiting. Pirates bought, Chiefs bought. They were waiting because they knew that Sundowns were going to. But it was, and Sundowns went South American. So. Yes, and if you look at it, it's a big gap. If you compare that, if you look at it, Mazola, also with the salaries,
Yeah.
I won't lie to you. I just start looking after a player, a PSL team, very stable PSL team, stable team with a good sponsor, paying a PSL player 1,000 rand a month.
No, wait, a player that's coming from the reserve league going into the first team, or player that's in the first team.
Yeah, he was playing up and down, but he was training every day with the first team, made appearances.
So he's got top flight experience or appearances, and he's getting paid 1,000 rands a month.
Yes.
No, I have to see the sheet of paper to believe it, because that sounds ridiculous.
But I'm just saying those are the things. But when they want to sell, they want to sell for 15 million, 12 million, 10 million. So there's a big gap. A big gap, and then. Afterwards you do, and then luckily, okay, we did it, and then they changed the contract.
But maybe for the benefit of those listening, those watching, maybe explain how, I'm playing devil's advocate here, how a club can pay a young player, I'm assuming this is a young player, 20s, because I can't imagine someone who's in the twilight of their career.
I won't tell you the age.
Yeah, but I'm just, I'm assuming, I can only assume this is a young player in his 20s, just been promoted from the reserve league.
20 is not young, eh? As a footballer, eh?
Oh, in South Africa.
Lamai,
Yeah,
17-year-old from Barcelona.
I mean, you
just
moved,
won the European Championship.
you moved abroad at 16, so relative. I understand.
Yes.
I understand where you're coming from, but maybe explain how a club can suddenly decide they are gonna try sell that player, for instance, for €1 million or €2 million, when this guy has been earning 1,000 rands a month in South Africa.
It's normal.
That can be normal.
It's normal because this is how, unfortunately, the market is and how we think, which sometimes when I do, and then, that's our job to be in the interest of the player, and then when people is telling you, yeah, but he's a talent, he's not a first team player. For me, when a player makes a first team debut,
he's a first team player.
He qualifies for first team. There's nothing of.
He's made a professional debut, so he should be.
There's not a transition. There's not this. Yes, he's gonna move up and down, but he classifies as a first team player.
It's on the record. Yeah.
That's everyone's dream. It's cricket. It's rugby. You get a cap when you make your debut in the national team or in the first team in Europe. That's it. You made it. Made it. No, but that was your dream.
Yeah,
I made my debut.
You're heading in the right direction.
The right direction. And then you raise a question. You say, but listen, and why is he earning this type of money? Yeah, because he's not a first team player yet. How? He's 5, 6, 7, 8 appearances.
Yeah,
training every day with the first team.
He's a first team player.
He's a first team player. So and then sometimes I always think, am I being hard? Am I being different? I always reflect at my times and I think myself, but no, I always say, why? How can we still be thinking like that? Don't get me wrong, Mazola. These 19, 20-year-olds, 21, they don't have a car. Professional player.
Sure.
Professional playing in the highest league in South Africa. They don't have a car yet.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying these boys must earn millions. But then we need to have the change. Yes, I understand. These budgets, you don't have to sponsor.
So you're saying within clubs themselves, there are crazy discrepancies in terms of salary brackets?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, I'm telling the clubs how they must do their business. Don't get me wrong. But my generation, the generation before, 7, 6, 7, it's 18, I have my car. Eh?
Yeah.
So my driver's license, that's also a goal. That is just personal life, on your thing. But you're still having players that don't have cars at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
But on the record, it says first team player.
But you're first team player.
So you think maybe some PSL clubs give off the impression maybe that, they've got enough money to run a business, to run the club. But then when they look at their books, they realize, okay, we need some high profile players, we need some young generation, and then they sort of excuse the use of the word, but they cheat the system.
Cheat is a big word, I would say. I just don't think they have, I think it's got to do with, and maybe this is wrong, I don't know, I'll just say it how it is. They doing the football players a favor.
Yeah.
And I think it's the wrong way they should be thinking, in my opinion, because I always say, if there's no football players, there's no football club.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I would say, if there's no...
The players also need the clubs.
They need the clubs. And
we need to coexist.
But, Mazola, like I was saying, like today I was at the football training session, I met Gavin Hunt. I know Gavin Hunt since I'm 12 years old, It's a different generation, it was... The vibe and everything is different. We used to swear at Gavin Hunt, but didn't mean it in a disrespectful way. When Stan Matthews walked past me, I knew it was Stan Matthews. But if I get a youngster now standing there, and Stan Matthews he says, "Who's this guy with a cap on? Who's this guy? He doesn't know that's a CEO." Eh?
Meanwhile, that's the guy paying his salary.
100%. Yeah. But that is just I'm just saying that is respect for me because I'm old school, but I'm adapting to the new thing. But that just comes also from top to bottom. These young boys, they don't understand that this guy, the CEO, any CEO, is as important as he is. But I don't think they are. I would say the owners or the CEOs, they're not so much intact with the team so much like they used to be, because I still think it's vibrant, they still be vibrant. In Europe, the sports directors are at every training session, the people will think, why is he sitting there? Sometimes they train because it's mostly ex-players, so they know, and the young players, they have respect, like, oh, this is John Committees, oh, this is Mpumi. Oh, yes. This is
Kaiser Jr.
This is Kaiser Jr. Yeah, this is him here, This is the guy that actually saw me. He knows me, because that also gives young players the feeling that they are appreciated. And if a sports director comes and say, "Hey, Mazola, how you doing?" Oh, how does he know my name?
Well, maybe if he's paying me 1,000 rands a month, maybe I shouldn't know his name.
The worst part, the guy was still the player was. I think he was still happy with it, but I just. For me, it's sad that a contract like that can be signed, Mazola. It's not possible.
But isn't that where you come in as an agent?
I, we go for a drink, maybe at Nando's. It's 800, maybe it's done, eh?
Yeah.
We're still lucky to get an Uber back home, But that's how we look at it, you know? But the players, the new generation, they just happy to be in the first team. But they don't realize, hey, I'm going to get married soon. I got kids. I have this.
But isn't that also a bit of the right mentality, though, to say, okay, I'm 18 or maybe 17, 18. I've just been promoted from the lower leagues or the Diski Challenge. I'll think about money later. Let me sign this 1,000 rands a month contract and get into the team and show them my value. And then maybe after the season, look, I'm not condoning a 1,000 rand salary, but I'm saying at some point, is that not, from a mindset point of view, that a player can think, okay, I don't want to think too much about money. I want to make my breakthrough. And of course, you're saying this kind of contract shouldn't be signed. Where's the agent when the player signs 1,000 rands a month? Where are the parents who've handed over a proxy to the agent?
I was not the agent at that time, but you sound like, I think you'll be fantastic South African owner, the way you're speaking now. No, but I'm just saying 100%, don't get me wrong. Of course, it's a dream. Everybody wants to push through. But Mazola, don't get me wrong. If I'm a sports director and I'm a chief scout, whatever, and a player makes the first team, he's in my first team, then there's something. You just don't fly from nowhere to make the first team.
He's not worth 1,000 rands a month. He's
already.
Yeah.
If someone make my first team and I'm a sports director, and I'm saying, hey guys, we need to get him in the office and sign this thing. There's something is not right. We can't. It's not just doesn't make sense, But it doesn't happen because he's okay. No problem. He's just happy to be in the first team, happy to have a tracksuit, and But it can't be. Reward him, because that's going to make him even better.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm saying we should. I'm not, and don't get me wrong, I'm the first one to say that players must work hard. They must do well to get the best. I'm not saying that young players of 18, 19 must earn 3 to 5 million. No, because also the new generation, they don't know how to use money in a good way. But that also comes from, learning. I think the clubs also take more responsibility in getting people in to show them how to do their finances, etc. Because that's also from our agency, we help them with these type of things. It's a menu, I always say. You can use the menu if you want to, but if you don't want to, no problem. But it's best that you start also investing in your young career. So, like I'm saying, just that the stages, and like I said, from your question, transfer and transparency, and but the gaps are massive in South Africa.
And we've been introduced, at least from a local point of view, because of Sundowns, I guess, this transfer room that's just popped up now, where it seems like we are going to finally understand the business dealings in terms of transfer fees. To my knowledge, you correct me if I'm wrong, Mamelodi Sundowns are part of the transfer room. It was revealed there that this past January, they spent 194
Did you see it on paper?
Rands. Well, it came from the sporting director's mouth that they've spent 194.
So it's not me telling you, there you got it.
Million rands on 4 players. Stellies It was announced earlier this week that Stellenbosch have now signed into the transfer room as well.
It's so funny, Mazola, that this transfer room that everybody was talking about it. You just said now, what is the bad conception of agents? Do you know that there's more agents than football clubs at that transfer room?
More, say that again, there's more agents.
Agents, we go in there. Yes, there's clubs.
Yeah.
But how are you going to deal with you the club owner?
Yeah.
Okay. I want Terrence. Who must I go through? The agent is sitting right next in the other room, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we are also invited to these type of things.
So you go? Do you participate? What's your opinion of the transfer room? Because it seems like South African clubs are taking to it now. At least two.
They're taking to it. So it's like got to do with relationships. So I travel in Europe, so I meet most of the clubs. I go to Sweden, I go to Germany, I go to Austria, I go there. So I know the club owners, I know the sports directors, and though they go there, it's like a conference, you know? You have to pay, of course, to join.
How much?
It's different. I'll be honest with you. There's a different range. If you're often there, you get a discount. You have to be, it's like a yearly based thing. It's also online. Sometimes it's online. It's a lot in person. But it's like I would say it's like a date. 15-minute date.
Oh, you move around. It's like speed dating.
Speed dating.
And you pay what? R1 million to get in 900.
I'll be honest, with clubs, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. There's a different rate with agents. You know, you can go per invitation. The more you go, of course, the more discount you get, the more things you get. So I think it's good. I really think it's really good. But again,
I see how you're avoiding telling me how much for an agent to get in.
Sometimes it's 10,000 euro. We can get it. But the problem is it's 10,000 euro. You also have to travel there. It's your own expense. Everything's your own expense, eh?
So that money doesn't get you a flight ticket and
no.
And maybe
have to spend more. Maybe it don't get you a deal, you know. But that again is, how do I say? Those are for agents that don't know the markets well, so they need to get it. And there's a request. So sometimes also the clubs don't send the best people. They will send sometimes the chief scout to these meetings, because why? They meet in agents. So you meet in agents also there, you know. So we can have a request. I would like to meet Sundowns. They can say yes or no.
But it's not, pardon me, but it sounds like a waste of time then. If you can just call each other and email each other and meet each other in South Africa or anywhere else in the world to get a deal done, why do you have to pay to go see each other?
It's in person. It's more in person. I would like to see the best journalists.
So they are creating face-to-face value for deals to happen behind the scenes.
Correct. So they can get the deal quicker done. So of course, with the emails, it takes long. The email come through, etc. But to be honest, in person is always the best. You know, if you don't know the person, so you're gonna pay for that. You know, but it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I think the clubs also, for clubs, is also important. You know, and also, but again, don't get me wrong. Is Tally's going to pay 60 million for a player? Like Sundowns do? I don't think so. It's also going to do good also for scouts, you know, their resources and things, etc. You know, so if you ask me, it's a good thing for football. Why? Because, and that's our job. We meet new people. We exchanging a lot of, I would say, ideas and things. So if you ask me, I've not been on one of those things yet.
Okay, but the sporting director at Sundowns did go there. He confirmed in that transfer room experience, speed dating, whatever you want to call it, that one of your players who moved to Sundowns, who is involved in that 194 million rands, was Tashrik Matthews, who moved from Sweden to Sundowns. They said he was sold for 29 million rands, if I'm not mistaken. Is that accurate? Because I'm trying to figure out the credibility of transfer room, whether more clubs in South Africa and I guess across the world should be. Yeah,
I don't think to be honest, that amount was not discussed at that transfer room.
I know. Well, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Lance, I'm saying.
So he met. I'll be honest. He found out that the player is available at that
transfer.
The transfer room, correct?
Okay.
And of course that club told him who Tassi's representatives are.
Yeah.
Of course, because it was a South African, and so it was not a problem. But that's why I'm saying those things. And I'm thinking also, don't get me wrong, Sundowns, of course, targeting more the best players of South Africa to come back because they're more in the Champions League and the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
So then, of course, and that time Tassi was doing really well in Sweden also. So they meet these type of clubs, you know. And of course, if you go into a room like that, you make a request. Where's the best South African players? And they meet the clubs there. And of course, Fleming is also Scandinavian. He's from Denmark.
Yes.
So of course, Swedish club is his territory.
Yeah.
So it also makes sense for him to meet that club there.
So it was 29 million rand.
I've not commented on the amount. I just said that the amount was not discussed at that transfer.
Fleming said it's 29. I'm asking you, how much was it? Because we are sitting here talking about transparency, and it's taken me 2 minutes to get the amount out of you.
I'll take you 5 minutes because at the end of the day, I didn't deposit that money across. But if Fleming said it was 29 million, he was there. He made the decision. Eh?
You are the agent. You signed on the dotted line. You flew to South Africa.
On the transfer fee, I don't sign on the dotted line.
So you don't know how much the amount was?
Was club to club. I'm not part of the club to club.
You don't know at all?
I don't know.
The club says it's 29 million.
That's club to club.
Don't you get a cut of the 29 million?
No, we don't get a cut.
How does it work then?
Transfer agents does not get cuts from club to club.
How does it work? Explain how it works.
So when it comes to club to club, it's a club to club. Everyone thinks when a player goes for 100 million, the agent
gets 10% of the 100 million.
No.
So that's another misconception.
We only deal from the player's salary, on the player's package.
Okay.
On the club to club, we're not involved in.
You don't get a cut from the club to club at all.
How can we get a cut? It's against FIFA's rules.
If you sell
it's against FIFA's rules.
If you take a player to Europe and, Chiefs, Pirates, whichever club, Stellies, you did Antonio van Beek from Stellies to Austria, there was a deal between the clubs. You don't get a cut.
Club to club.
Your cut is from the players.
From players' package.
Okay, so it is a misconception. Because everybody thinks you're getting a cut.
Because that's the misconception. Because they think when a player goes for 200 more, that's his last deal, he's done, now you can retire. No, it's not. They're not.
Yeah, because people think agents are balling, man.
Don't get me wrong. We help. We will push, of course, the value of the player to and help clubs to try to make the deal happen. Some clubs has the value of a player. Example, like we said with Cape Town Spurs, they think that player is that value. We try to make it as fair as possible for everyone, but we don't get a cut from the club to club.
So you push it so that the personal terms also try to match up.
Got nothing to do with personal terms also. Okay. That is the problem. So if a player goes for 100 million, doesn't mean he's going to earn 300 million. Eh?
Yeah.
Again, the club to club got nothing to do with it, and that's my problem.
But isn't it
a player earning 1,000 rand, he goes for 15 million?
Isn't it fair that if a player goes for 15 million rands, case in point, Ikram Reina's Sundowns triggering buyout clause of around that figure, the terms, how do you then make it make sense in terms of the value that he's gone for and how much? Because I can't be sold for 15 million rands and only earn
again the player
5% increase on my salary from the previous club. It doesn't.
So I'll make it just very simple for you. Cape Town players, when they come to Joburg, they earn double what they earn.
Yeah.
When they come to Johannesburg. So that's what makes you. That can tell you how bad how it is in Cape Town now. They don't pay that. They pay good salaries, but not that they should be paying in that way. But again, got to do with budget, sponsors, etc. I always say that. But when Cape Town players leave Johannesburg, Cape Town, they earn better when they come to Johannesburg.
Standard. It doesn't matter if they're joining Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns.
Yes.
Most of the time, the
even
Joburg clubs, Joburg clubs will pay more.
They earn more. Yes, they pay more.
That's crazy because in our heads we always think Joburg is Cape Town's more expensive than Johannesburg. So, I mean, you've lived in both cities.
I pay for the mountain.
But talking about these transfer fees, players coming back home, we made an example with Tashi as well. I want to tap your brain on imports and exports. South Africa is struggling at the moment to get players out. More players are rather coming in, and this is one of the concerns from national team coach Hugo Bruce. What do you make of that, especially as someone who played in Europe for a long time? You probably only came back when you were in the twilight of your career. Even then you went back to Europe to finish off your career, and you decided to settle there.
I just think, Mazola, don't get me wrong, and this is honest. I've took many players on trial. I just think players are not ready for Europe. If you look at, and I'll be honest with you, Antonio went to Austria. He could have earned more in South Africa than he's earning now in Austria.
Wow.
So,
is that in his head that he just wanted to go to Europe and open the
players
market?
Players would like to, but again, I always think that we as South Africans, because is everyone is waiting for us to come to Europe, you know, and I think that's the wrong exception. You know, we always say, this player needs to go to Europe. That, you know, but are they ready? You know, I always say our players need to be more consistent. They're not inconsistent enough. I had a player on trial in Europe, did fantastic in the week. Come to the game, just paused, shocked. You know,
What do you mean?
just blanked. He couldn't.
He froze.
Froze.
The stage was too big.
Yeah, you know, like, oh, you know, a little bit of, it was a friendly match, a lot of fans, you know, around, and it was too much, you know. But again, he did fantastically through the week. It was unbelievable. I thought it was done. But they look at the match, you know. And that sometimes in today's world, you get training players and you get match players, you know, but it doesn't matter. You have to, the way you train is the way you play.
So you reckon that's one of our biggest challenges in terms of trying to get players out? I mean, you know, there are players that currently at the moment, I think Lyle Foster after Benny McCarthy is the most expensive South African player from Westerlo to Burnley.
But he was in Europe. He didn't leave.
Fair enough.
Didn't leave South Africa for that big money. He had to go prove himself in Europe to get to that.
Yeah.
So you saying,
but even when he left Pirates for Monaco,
yes,
Monaco, right?
But he was playing. He did okay. Loaned out. Was okay.
In Portugal. But I'm talking about in terms of getting that opportunity at 18, 19, moving from Orlando Pirates to Monaco for what? I think 20 million rand.
I don't know the exact figures, yeah. But again, that was a very big move. Monaco is a big move, you know. But again, Mazola, if you look at it again, I had this interview, I think I spoke to you about it. Our football is not watched because it's blocked. No Europeans can watch PSL football. So it's either they have to come live. Sometimes the clubs do come because they want to watch players live. But
yeah, that's another issue at the moment, right?
You can't watch.
Why scouting?
We can't watch. You can only watch national team games.
Yeah.
But you can't watch
the Champions League.
Correct. But you can't watch the PSL games. So the young players are not getting showed. If you look at Langalige File, he's our young player. He's doing really well, but no one has seen him, you know?
Yeah.
So it's difficult. And again, don't get me wrong, what I'm saying to you again, the market value. What is the market value for these type of players? Because remember, South Africans can only sign a professional contract when they're 18. So again, the value is unbelievable, you know? 1 million euros.
So part of the issue are players maybe are overpriced.
Most of our youngsters. But again, and I said this, people always think that I say, yeah, but Lawrence, they're paying for this one or that one. Okay. But unfortunately, the European market are not looking at the South African because they think that their value is, they don't think that value is that high for South African player to come to Europe for that amount.
So you support the statement from Coach Hugo when he said Teboho Mokoena is not worth, I think the amount was what? In rands, around 90 million. If I do the conversion right, or I think he was clear that Teboho Mokoena is not worth the amount that the value that Sundowns were putting on him shortly after the AFCON, because he reckons in Belgium, for instance, or in Europe, they can find a player for that probably as good, if not better, for cheaper, or even as a free agent because he's just come out of an academy, or he played for Manchester United, or he played for Real Madrid, and he fell off from the academy and didn't make the grade to be promoted to the senior team.
Well, if he's right, he can be right, he can be wrong, but
I'll try find that. Yeah, in the meantime,
I also say that, you know, Sundowns are paying the players fantastic salaries, so the value can be good, it can be bad, but I think, you know, Teboho, of course, I think he's that value that can go there. Again, are they prepared to pay that type of money for Teboho? I think it's the value that they can, because if I look at the players that they have,
5 million euros.
5 million euros.
Yeah, I think Bruce said he was told that the player's value was 5 million euros, which in South African rands is 97 million rands.
These Belgian players, they buy players from South America for 3.5, 4 million. From Belgium, the big clubs in Bruges, for Bruges, that is not a problem. For Anderlecht, also not a problem. You know, but again, And that's how they look at it, and that's where people always talk about Lance. Why?
They say, he's South African. He can't cost 97 million.
There you go. That is the big problem. That is the big problem, and I always say that. But why? And then if you look at it, okay, now Sundowns is going to play with the Club World Cup. I have no doubt if Tabora is going to play the Club World Cup and he plays, 5 million is nothing in Europe if you compare it. It's okay. It's not
because he's proven himself at one of the biggest stages of them all.
It's not a Sundowns bought for Linde. What was it? 3.5 million. They said 4 million. So if you look at that, the South African club is playing that. So if you're playing for one of your top midfielders in the country, 5 million should not be a problem. Yeah. But I'm just saying they're comparing the PSL league to the leagues in Europe and to Africa. Now, if you look, I'm thinking North Africa. They say people are saying North African league is better than the PSL league. The Egyptian league is better than the PSL league. So they are comparing, which is wrong. And and now they're not going. I always say they're not looking at data. Is the biggest, in my opinion, they're looking also at a lot of data. So they take a lot of the data of the leagues and etc. And they're saying, okay, but is he going to fit in our league? Is he going to be better than this one, etc., etc.
So say you're a club boss, how do you fix this conundrum? Because I think it's a huge issue that we are failing to export players in the 96.
So I think if you ask me, I think for South African clubs, they mustn't look at the first deal. They should not look at the first deal, especially for young players.
Yeah,
the first deal, you're not going to make money. Unfortunately, you're going to have to won't take the thing, but try to do a lot of add-ons, etc. to make that. You're going to make the second or the third deal. First deal for a young player, it's just going to be a normal
sort of like deal. I don't know if you know the details of the deal, but Chandre Campbell just moved to Belgium now.
Correct.
And it sounds like SuperSport didn't really make a lot of money off of that deal, but they've got add-ons, extras where potentially he's playing for
second division,
the reserve league team of Club Brugge.
Correct.
And if he makes it to the first team and he's seen in other leagues in the world, then they sell him,
then for sure,
fortunately, maybe to a Real Madrid, whatever in the future, then that's when they stand to gain.
I always say that's and don't get me wrong, that Belgium second league is not a bad league, So, and if you look at it, I think he's doing well. He's settling in nicely. He just needs to be patient. That's normal because now we're getting into winter, So, and then if he gets his opportunity, he scored 2 fantastic goals, coming in from the bench. And I think he's also saying, wow, he's good talent here, because, when you come from South Africa and you're one of the best, you come to Europe, sometimes you're just normal, eh?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that, of course, there's still a lot of depth. You can go further and further. You can train harder and you train with the best. And then you still got, if you look at Bruges, he's playing Champions League now. So that's his dream also. So, but I always say that we need to just, I would say, be more lenient. I would say not lenient, but of course, and don't get me wrong, football is a business. I always say that, but try to give the opportunity more. I'm not saying, listen, if a club wants to pay, like I said the last time, they want to pay 100 million, then they pay 100 million, But the European clubs, and I always say that we have fantastic talent. We have top talent. If you look at our under-17 national team, under-20 national team, they are unbelievable. Unbelievable what we have, If you look at this COSAFA Cup, they went to go win, they won. It's the 4 or 5 players that didn't play because it wasn't a FIFA date. And the clubs didn't release them.
Yeah.
Wow. Then we were really top. And so we got a good pool of players that I think that can play in Europe easily.
So there is hope to get back, because I was earlier I was trying to make the point that in '96 when we won the AFCON, yes, maybe at that time the majority didn't yet have overseas deals, but a year later about 90% of that team was playing in Switzerland, in England, all over the world, essentially. But if you look at the squad now, we were the only national team with 80% plus of locally based players. That, yes, we got bronze medal, but that's a bit of an issue if you consider that the high level is the European market. But I guess it goes back to a point. Maybe our players are just too expensive.
And if you look at that time also, there was not that law that you have to be 18 also. Eh? So I think we also have that 2 years from 16 to 18 is a massive, massive gap also, because if you look at 18, many European young players are playing in the first team already, like week in, week out. Here we still train the 18-year-old playing disky, So that's also make a big, big difference for our thing. So if you look at it, if you look at it 2 years advance compared to our 16-year-old or our 17-year-old that we still saying, okay, he must still play under 17 or GDL or in these engine tournaments, where you look at the Barcelona player, 17-year-olds winning the European Championship, where we're happy where our players are still going to play COSAFA Cup,
Yeah.
So we're a little bit behind in that development, should I say, where I think we should also take more risk to play, because I always say you only know it. It's not how old you are, it's how good you are. You must give it, even it's 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, you're giving him, he's feeling it, he's having the feeling in the first team, but if you're not going to try him out, you can't say if he's good enough or bad, because that's how, in my generation, it was the generation before, we got thrown in just like that, okay, even if we're down 2-0, 3-0, that's the time when you have to step up or you have to show, so I think we in general, we have to just take a risk more with our young players.
I'm going to try wrap it up now. And as I do that, kind of taking you back to that first question as well about misconceptions and whatever the case may be, and the do's and don'ts of an agent, because obviously you want to say, we are the good guys, whereas, maybe there's a fallacy out there that, oh no, they're just in it for the money. They only show up when during the transfer window, and when it's on season, they are nowhere to be found. You can't find them to make a comment or to do a deal. But case in point, you did a deal outside the window for Tashrik Morris as a free agent. What are those do's and don'ts, you would say, from your perspective, having transitioned from being a player to an agent now and been in it for some time?
I just think it's difficult, because of course with the media it's difficult because you also don't want to kill the deal, There's a lot of rumors going around, sources, intel. There's many things, that people want. So of course we need to be smart how we do it, because the clubs also.
Well, when there's no transparency, there's bound to be rumors and sources, and
because we also sometimes we have to listen to the clubs. They don't want to be out there, so we need to be smart. Of course, I always say it's a three-way, clubs.
And is that a good or a bad thing? I mean, shouldn't clubs just be, if they've entered into an agreement with another club, announce that we've entered into? That's not a secret.
I think they're also scary. The deal doesn't go through, another club comes in, then they feel like, oh, and the boy does well, then they look like, oh, we had to do it, So there's also a lot of things, but I think, and don't get me wrong, I always say this, we must help each other, media, agents, clubs, etc. Of course, these things that you should not be going out in the beginning of the deal when it's not yet ready, when it's not concrete. So I always try to be the best I can, but we just need to be smart around those things, But I don't have a problem. Sometimes it's me. I've been always like that. I think Mazola. I always tell players also say, if you don't want to say something, say no comment, because they can't go around no comment. They can't put their own words in with no comment. We just have to be smart about it. But again, our new generation, they like the media. They like social media, So they just say something and then it's damage control afterwards, And then also just about, like you said, we are love and hate in this game, Mazola. It's very simple, because sometimes we go against the clubs because we don't agree with how they do the evaluation on players. So as I'm speaking of myself, of course the interest is for the player, but also in another way, I also think for the club, I don't want them to overspend. I like the valuation, Sometimes we do deals and nothing for us,
Really? You do a deal and you get nothing out of it?
There's nothing for a deal. It's thank you very much, Lance. Great dealing with you. And then we have to buy boots. We buy this. So if you look at, say, some players that you invest in, but sometimes there's no return. So if you look at it, if you're looking at young players, we're looking at young players that just getting into the first team. It's actually nothing, But then when they make it, then the club say it's us.
But they take the credit.
But they forget that we were part of that deal.
Yeah. Well, I guess you should take the credit together, because the club gave him the platform. The agent brought.
Please tell me which club said, "Oh, we just want to thanks Football First for helping us doing this deal." It's like that. But I'm just saying credit is okay. So long, I always say, for the players, when the players are doing well, everybody loves them. But when they're down, I think that's when the agent comes in more, my opinion, right? Because when you're doing well, everyone knows you.
You've got friends, you've got hangers on.
You've got everything. And then when you got to when you push in, when he's not there, then that's when it matters, is no one there. So I think, and that's why I said, especially myself, Mazola, I think it's a love and hate, I will not say things for owners that I believe that is not right. I try still to be like it because I sleep good at night. I don't want to, and I'm very,
and to be fair, there are some good owners.
Exactly, and I'm very transparent with my clients, with our clients, should I say, and that is important. So, of course, and I always say it's a marriage. When they're playing bad, we tell them you played bad. Let's work on it. If you're playing good, we don't have to tell them because then everyone knows they're playing good. So, I would say, Mazola, there is a lot of good agents out there, to be honest, and they fight a lot for their players. And that's why I said in our interview with SABC, I said we do a lot, and people must start recognizing us because we're also part of that head of recruitment or whatever it is for football clubs. Because we also give players that they don't know, they did not know. So we give also our best, but for me, I don't care. Like I said, it's not credit. As long as my player is happy, we happy. That for me, the rest doesn't count, and that's how we work. But I want also clubs to say that they are good people in the game.
Final question: it might be difficult, but your top 5 best deals.
So I would say I was part, and I was working for my old company, the Christian Pulisic,
from Dortmund to Chelsea.
Yes. Tashreeq Matthews from Cape Town to Dortmund.
Nice. Yeah, he was
just turned 18.
He just turned 18.
I had an American player, Taylor Booth from American Academy, Real Salt Lake to Bayern Munich.
Wow.
All right. I also want to talk about the local deals because, local is liquor.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I had a lot of
it's your bread and butter also.
100%. And I enjoy this deal. So there's many, Steven Pienaar to Wits, Dalen Klaassen to Wits, Ashim Domingo to Wits, Brandon from Ajax to Wits, and then to Chiefs. And then also part of Benny McCarthy to Amazulu.
Yes, that was a huge deal. Yeah.
I was part of, with Glenn Binken, the renewal of the Bochum Mokwena, and then Tashreeq to Sundowns. So if you look at it, it's, I always say, and don't get me wrong, now how big it is, how small it is, whenever you make a deal as an agent, is really, it's a good feeling. Even today's deal.
Yeah.
Tashreeq Morris, for me, he has a job. I'm happy. That's the most important thing. But like I said, Mazola, in our game, or especially how I think is, for me, it's about, yes, that's our job. We're doing deals, getting opportunities. But what excites me the most is when I'm sitting at the stadium and I'm watching my players play.
I can attest to that. You do a lot of that.
So I like to be at live games. I like watching it, even if it's under 15, to the PSL, into Europe. That's for me really, really, really important. I love these type of things, and I like to watch my players live because that's when they are happy and they're playing, So for me, yes, if you ask me my top 5, yes, I mentioned, for me, in my opinion, every deal is important for the company, for all of us, because that's when they sign their contracts and they have a job.
Yeah.
It's not nice to be unemployed, and that's why I said free agents, that's not a word anymore, because if you're a free agent, you're unemployed. For me, only Ronaldo and Messi.
Unemployed player.
For me, free agents are Ronaldo and Messi because they can walk into any club. But like I said, yes, every deal matters to us.
That's Lance Davids. You have gone behind the boot and you've gone above and beyond. Thank you so much for...
But Mazola, one thing I want to say is, I'm an agent. I've been in the business long, but my biggest goal and dream is to become a sports director of a football club.
Wow. How far are you from that dream?
Still dreaming.
Lance Davids, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Okay, cool.